he's not deserving of the criticism of all, everything, the common cold all the way, up the chain. I think when you start ascribing bad motives to the guy, I think that's wrong. It turns off a bunch of people that want solutions.
I want to know about whom Jeb Bush was speaking when he was on Fox the other day, saying that basically Republicans need to be not so mean in criticizing the president. You're talking about his motives, not the issues. To me, it seemed obvious that he was talking about Rick Perry there. That followed on comments that Karl Rove had made about Rick Perry when Perry came out hard-charging against the Federal Reserve chairman, making kind of a joke about treason and what they'd do to him in Texas, which I kind of found hilarious. Joining us now, I'm delighted he's with us. Been on our show a number of times, but not when he was running for the presidency. Governor Rick Perry, Texas Republican candidate for the presidency, and he's with us now. Hey, Gov, how are you?
Hey, Laura, everything's good. We could use a little of that rain they're getting on the East Coast in Texas, but other than that, the state's still creating jobs, and it's still a island of job creation in this country that I think Americans are really begging for. And that really it goes back to the point here is Americans get it about this Federal Reserve printing more money and devaluing the dollars that are already not worth what they were 2 years ago because of the just absolutely horrible monetary policies and stimulus and debt creation that this president and his administration and frankly a complicit Congress were involved in.
Well, Governor, the Texas job creation issue is something I've been on for years, and you and I have talked about it before. I've talked about it with state legislators who are mutual friends of ours. It's an amazing story. From healthcare to energy, it's a place where innovators are right now. It's just you can't debate that. And in the attempt to disparage your efforts there, I think are just going to fall flat. I think they're already falling flat and they're not working. But this debate, however, that is raging within the Republican Party goes to a deeper issue, and that is, I think there are a lot of people, a lot of elites who are inside the Beltway, many of them, a lot of them former Bush people, maybe even Jeb Bush himself, who don't seem to be thrilled about the fact that you're running for the presidency. What is your reaction to what seems to be an anti-Perry push among a number of these Bush people?
Look, I got great respect for the Bushes. Whether it's I don't think there's a more honorable man, a better man than George H.W. Bush, one of the finest men I've ever met in my life. He and Mrs. Bush are just, they're like everybody's grandfather. You love them. I mean, they're just really good people, and they're they taught their children. But at the end of the day, look, I'm Rick Perry, and I'm who I am, and I've got my own record. I'm not George Bush. I don't try to be. Respect him. I consider him to be a friend. We've talked to each other a couple of times within the last, his birthday was July the 6th. But, here's the issue. Let's quit worrying about whether or not you particularly, our country's in jeopardy. I mean, there are people, when I traveled across South Carolina, New Hampshire, and Iowa last week, Laura, I mean, people come up to me and they're scared. That they know that our country is standing at the precipice of possibly defaulting. I mean, the idea that the debt that's been created and this $14+ trillion debt, and our kids are going to have to pay for it. They're ready for some leadership. They're ready for somebody to stand up and say, Mr. President, your policies have failed, and we need new leadership in this country. We need someone with a vision that will get America back working. And let me tell you, you can argue a lot of things about me. I get that. But you cannot argue that we haven't created in the last decade the job creation mecca.
So why do these people not like you? Honestly, because this is a fight for this nomination. It's going to be a big fight. It's going to be tough. It's going to be Romney, you, Bachmann. I don't know. Maybe someone else is going to get in the race. Yeah. But these people who are big money people, they're connected to a lot of campaign cash, which you need to be able to be competitive, frankly. They're concerned that you're going to blow up. They're concerned that you are critical of the previous administration, the Bush administration, and that you're going to take this party into this more of a Wild West kind of approach to things, and they're concerned about it. Why are they so concerned about you?
Well, here's what I tell them. I said, if you think that Texas has been taken into the Wild West, if you think that Texas is a failed state, then you got, stand up and talk about where we're a failed
They don't think
state
that,
for America.
Governor, but they think that you're not the right person. They think that you kind of shoot from the hip, and that's that's not what the Republican Party needs. I'm just reading
Laura,
these reports.
Laura, I'm the right person for Texas. They've elected me 3 times to be the governor of the state, unprecedented in the state's history, and we've been a job creation machine. Americans are not going to sit here and get carried backwards or get carried off. They're not going to be diverted off of a story and a vision that can get America back into the economic position that it needs to be. That with all due respect to anybody that's out there, either directly or indirectly, criticizing me because I speak plainly, I call it like I see it. Look, I'm not an establishment figure, never have been, and frankly, I don't want to be. I dislike Washington. I think it's a seedy place. But our country is in trouble. And I don't have the privilege to sit on the sideline and watch our country be destroyed economically by a president who has been conducting an experiment on the American economy for the last 2.5 years. My wife told it like it was when she looked me in the eye and said, listen, you have to do your duty. And that's what I'm doing.
Is a rising China good for the United States? And if not, what are you going to do about it?
Listen, we're going to have to deal with China. We're going to have to trade with them. We can't. China disregarded the world for a millennium, and they lived in their own little world. We can't afford to do that. We're going to have to deal with China. We're going to have to find ways diplomatically and financially, economically.
But what does that mean? Those are broad generalities. I need specifics on this show. I mean, and I think we're looking to you for that kind of leadership, and people listening to this show from across the United States are listening to you, and they want to know specifically when China is about to develop its own military aircraft using sensitive avionics from GE, American companies. People are concerned that they're going to surpass us militarily, probably economically, if we don't turn things around. As President of the United States, how would you take a different path from George Bush and this president on China?
Well, one of the ways we do it is by getting the economy going, because the fact of the matter is if you don't have a strong economy, your foreign policy means nothing. And so that is the call of the day. That is the most important thing for us to do. But to answer your question directly, we made some huge errors in the course of the last 3 to 5 years from the standpoint of militarily not continuing to fund R&D with our military. For instance, we had a next-generation fighter aircraft that was on the books to be developed, and the then Secretary of Defense, through, I suppose, direction by this president, Obama, said, we're going to cut back, and that's going to be one of the cutbacks. And the reason that they gave for making that reduction in that next-generation fighter was the Chinese are not going to have a next-generation fighter ready until 2025. If everything goes perfect for them, it won't be ready until 2020. Well, guess what, Laura? It's going to be deployed by 2017. That's the type of bad, either intelligence or just bad diplomacy that we cannot afford in this country. We've got to have secretary, cabinet-level people that are principled, that are disciplined, and that frankly know these hot spots around the world very well and are willing to stand up. China needs to hear from us. Listen, we will do trade with you. We will be a partner in trade with you, but you cannot steal our intellectual property. The idea that you're
we're giving it to them, but we're giving to them.
But they're still in close to 3/4 of a trillion that we know of dollars worth of intellectual property from us.
Do you think our trade policies have been working for the American family vis-a-vis China or many of the other countries that are growing their economies incredibly fast right now?
I don't think our trade policy has been working for years, frankly, from the standpoint of being in the best interest of our families. Do we need to trade? Absolutely. Am I a free trader? Yes, but I'm a fair trader. I mean, just because we pass a free trade agreement with a country doesn't mean that we need to put ourselves at a competitive disadvantage to make their diplomatic people smile at us. I mean, we need to be tough traders. But I'm telling you, we can't be tough traders. We can't be foreign policy impactful country until we get this economy.
No, that's for sure.
Let me tell you, Laura, that is the first focus and call of the day. I mean, I'm going to get, there's going to be 100 different questions asked me 1,000 different ways. But at the end of the day, how do you get Americans back working? And I will tell you, it's by lowering the taxation, lowering the regulation, lowering the litigation costs that we've got on small businessmen and women in this country, and freeing those entrepreneurs where they know, without a doubt, they're going to be able to risk their capital and have a chance to get a return on their investment.
When you heard Arne Duncan, who's the Secretary of Education, on Sunday, or maybe you read his comments, where he just pretty much slammed your education record. I believe we have the soundbite. This is what he said.
Yeah.
Well, Texas has really struggled, and I feel very, very badly for the children there. Texas may have the lowest high school graduation rate.
Yeah.
You've seen massive increases in class size. You've seen cutbacks in funding.
This is all happening under Governor Perry's watch.
He said he felt very, 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 very badly for the students in Texas. Gov, you're going to be asked about this.
Well, other than he's just flat out wrong on the face of it, and factually, we have made very good progress in the state of Texas. We've increased our funding for Texas public schools and our children by record amounts. Under my leadership, general revenue spending for public education has increased $11 billion. Over half of the state budget for 2012 is going to education.
Yeah, but money isn't the answer, is it necessarily? I mean, you're not saying that money is the answer for graduation rates.
What I'm saying is it's part of the solution from the standpoint of a state that's growing like Texas. He basically said, we've cut huge chunks out of our education budgets. That's not true. Our accountability, our college readiness, we are recognized as a national leader in adopting college and career-ready curriculum standards, textbooks, and assessments. Improved test scores. Our African-American 8th grade students earned the highest score nationally on the 2009 NAEP science test. The Hispanic 8th graders ranked 8th, and our white students were tying with Massachusetts white students, ranking 2nd behind only DOD schools. Listen, in any way you want to go rank our Texas schools and what our students are doing, we've made improvements through the 2000s. Look, this is just a typical response from an administration that has been a failure.
Yeah, this is a war room tactic, and they're going to be using it.
Yes.
Now, Mitt Romney yesterday said he's not been perfect when it comes to the health care issue. He said he isn't perfect. What makes you a better decision maker on health care issues than he is?
I think Mitt is finally recognizing that the Massachusetts health care plan that he passed is a huge problem for him. And, it was not almost perfect. I truly believe that you have to have the free market in play with our health care. I think Obamacare, which was modeled after the Massachusetts plan, is an absolute debacle. Hopefully it will not be an issue by the time we have our November election of 2012, and that the Supreme Court will have ruled that individual mandate is in fact unconstitutional, which it is. But we've got to. I'm a big believer that the answer to our health care issues in this country can be found in the states. Block granting and substantially reducing the total amount of dollars back to the states, and allowing them to come up with the ways to deliver health care, come up with the innovative approaches, the menu of ways people choose what kind of health care. I'll promise you this, Laura, there are some incredibly bright, and particularly, I'm a little biased here, Republican governors, Bobby Jindal, Nikki Haley, John Kasich up in Ohio, Brian Sandoval and Susana Martinez. I mean, these are really bright, capable governors, and they will come up with ways to deliver health care into their state. And when Bobby Jindal does something over here on the east coast of Texas, it won't bother me a second to go over and snitch it from him and bring it over to Texas.
And Governor, before we let you go, we're totally out of time, running way late here, but can you make a promise right now? This is a really important promise, a pledge on the Laura Ingraham Show that you will never vacation in Martha's Vineyard.
I'm not even sure I know where it is, but
that's good enough for me. Governor
right.
Perry, we went all over the place, lots of issues. We really appreciate your joining us. Thank you so much.
Laura, I'll promise you one other thing. I'll come on your program anytime I can.
I'll be seeing you down in Texas. I'm an honorary citizen. I think you might have made me one. I don't even remember now. But
I think I did that, and a yellow rose to boot.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a break. Governor Rick Perry on the Laura Ingraham Show.